Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be talking about Group D and what to buy specifically in Group D, because it is Group D's week for distributions, and when it is the week for distributions for a particular group, people seem to like to buy that particular group's ETFs to either get the distribution or to buy it on ex-dividend date, which is what I like to do, when that discount kind of comes about through the distribution amount being kind of discounted out of the share price, and you seemingly get a slightly discounted share price. And that's one of the strategies I like to do, because I'm always trying to keep my average price down as much as possible. So you can see all the ETFs in Group D. It's one of the big and most popular weeks because it has MSTY, which is the most popular YieldMax ETF. It also has SMCY, which I am very bullish on at the moment. As you can see, these are my holdings of Group D. So I have MSTY, SMCY, XYZY. That's a fairly new ETF for me. I bought into that about a month ago after talking about it on one of my videos, and it's already gone up in value, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then the weeklies, LFGY, YMAG, and ALTI. But my biggest position of all is MSTY. That is my biggest holding. It accounts for pretty much half of my YieldMax portfolio. If you see here, MSTY from the last month, I made $12,000 off that because I have over 6,000 shares, and that accounted for about half of my monthly income from these YieldMax ETFs, so half of 24,000, so to speak. So MSTY is my big guy, so therefore Group D is my most important week. It's the one that I get most excited about to see what the distribution amount's going to be, because I'm going to be paid the most in this week of all the weeks that I get a distribution from the YieldMax ETFs. SMCY, I've been buying that. I'll just show you what I've been buying over the last week, actually. So this is last week's buys, and basically MSTY, SMCY, and LFGY. So very Group D heavy. That's not normally my strategy, is to buy for the upcoming week. I just buy whatever's red, whatever I believe in, whatever's at a good price. And I'm very bullish on SMCY at the moment. I think I talked about it in one of my last videos, but I got a good price at $18.26, and it's now trading about $21. So those were both pretty good buys, and I feel like there's a lot of upside opportunity for SMCY, and also its distribution rates are historically very good, and so it pays good distribution amounts. So yeah, very happy with that position in SMCY. I've got almost 1,000 shares in that, and I'm going to be building up on that. But if we move on to the actual distributions, which is what most people buy into these YieldMax ETFs for, it's to get that high distribution amount. We're all here for the income, otherwise we'd be buying growth ETFs or growth funds or stocks or whatever. So this is the Group D distributions by rank over a 12-month period. So actually SMCY, you can see at the top, the first two are weeklies, LFGY and ALTI, very strong. I don't think that's right. I don't know about 106% for LFGY. ChatGPT may be given some dodgy figures here. Maybe that's because it's newer. I'm not sure, but that's not quite right, I don't think. So it's always good to, not trust ChatGPT with everything. And maybe we'll have to take these with a grain of salt as well. But it says here SMCY 100%, and it usually is 100% around that SMCY gets paid out. MSTY 89%, and you've got AIYY. I own that as well, but I'm not super bullish on it, so I'm not planning to buy into that anymore, just because I've lost a lot of my. I think I was at a $9 share price, and it's now trading around the low $4 mark. So hasn't done too well in terms of NAV. People talk about NAV erosion. It hasn't done too well in that respect, so I'm avoiding it for the time being. DISO, APLY, AMZY, XYZY, which is a fairly new position for me, and that's actually done a lot better over the last couple of months. That's nearer an 80-90% distribution rate. So of course, distribution rates and amounts are important. That's what we're here for, but it's total return that matters, in my opinion, because we want to. There's no point in making 100% if your NAV is just tanking. If your share price is just going, if you bought in at $10 and then the next month it's $9 and the next month it's $8, your net asset value is just decreasing and declining. and therefore your investment is declining with it. Unless you hold for like years and years and years, you're still getting that. But then your distribution amounts are obviously gonna reduce with that NAV reduction as well. So if you start with a $10 share price and it goes down to $5, then you're obviously only getting 100% of $5. Your distribution amounts are less, because even if the distribution percentage remains the same. So I personally believe that when you buy is important, and how much you buy for is important. So this is the total return for Group D over a year's period. And as you can see, there is one winner, and it is most people's favorite YieldMax ETF, although PLTY is obviously very popular at the moment. And MSTY, yeah, over a year, 116% total return over a 12-month period. No one could really argue with that. That's a great return. And then the rest are all pretty, a lot are in the red actually. DISO and AMZY, they're in the green, but not doing anything too sensational. But I do think it's important to look at other time factors, because if we look at 6 months, it's SMCY that leads with a 19% return. MSTY is in second, DISO, AMZY. And this is important because SMCY got dropped from the S&P, I think it was, or the NASDAQ maybe, around here somewhere. So I don't know if you can see this. And so SMCY was up 17%. You'll see that. It was number 2. Then it got dropped and it tanked. Right? And so it's been recovering ever since. But since then, SMCY has been doing really well. And that's what the 6-month return implies. And I'm still, as I've talked about before, pretty confident in SMCY's, the underlying future performance. And so for me, it's a buy. And so it's one of my favorite ETFs, not just in Group D, but in the whole of YieldMax fund space, so to speak. So 6 months, SMCY is the leader, MSTY, DISO, AMZY. All right, let's also important to take a look at a month, what's been happening recently. Again, SMCY is the winner. XYZY is second, and that's over the lot. So about a month or two ago, I bought my first position in X. I felt it had hit a bottom. It had good projections. The research that I did showed that it had a higher target price than it was trading at. So it's looking pretty good for XYZY, and that's why I bought into it. And it's had a really good month, as it shows. 14% total return, SMCY 16%. These are great figures for 1 month. So yeah, that kind of ties into my position that SMCY, MSTY, and XYZY, I'm probably going to be sticking with those ones. So yeah, MicroStrategy and MSTY haven't been doing super well recently. It's just been kind of treading water around that level, not doing a lot. But I am super bullish about Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and MSTY in general for the second half of this year. And I've talked about this before, but one of the reasons for that is global liquidity. The M2 money supply is still absolutely pumping, and Bitcoin price action has about an 80% correlation rate to global liquidity, M2 money supply. Lots of experts in the space talk about it, and if you do a bit of research into it, you'll find that it has a very strong correlation rate to M2 money supply. And it does go off. It's got that 20% kind of buffer. It will go off sometimes and come back depending on certain macro factors or what Trump's talking about. But it generally, as you can see, follows the global liquidity, the M2 money supply, fairly accurately, and it will start to go up, in my opinion. So we are here, if you can see from this. So this is actually the Bitcoin price, and this yellow line is the M2 money supply, and we're currently here. We've been had a dip, kind of come back up to this $107,000, $108,000 level, and we are pretty soon. And then after that, the M2 money supply has been going up pretty fast. So we're due for a leg up to 115, 120, maybe 125 pretty soon, in my opinion. Obviously not financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball, but it's just my thoughts on what's going to happen for the second half of this year. I still believe that Bitcoin's going to end the year on at least 160, maybe 200K by the end of this year. and therefore MicroStrategy, MSTY, Maro, LFGY, YBit, they're all going to do really well. But MSTY is my main guy, it's my main holding, and I'm still pretty bullish on it. I still think it will end the year on at least $30. I'm really hoping so anyway. And then when it does, and when we get to that euphoria Bitcoin stage, I'll be selling some and putting that into winter, into the inverse, because I still think there's a strong, people are talking about super cycle, but I still think there's a strong case for a crypto winter, a bear market, and I want to be hedging hedging my position and buying some winter to plan for that, for when that comes. But still very bullish on MSTY and Bitcoin. All right, and then this kind of reinforces that, I guess, because the experts are also seemingly in the same thought process, thinking the same thing. It's got a strong buy rating across many experts. 12 analysts saying strong buy, 4 saying buy, and then only 1 with a strong sell. But as you can see, we just went up. I think we went up 5%, or Mr. MicroStrategy went up 5% overnight because MicroStrategy keeps buying Bitcoin. Michael Saylor, he's relentless in his quest to just earn and buy as much Bitcoin as he possibly can for his company. And it's now just under 600,000 Bitcoin that they hold. So 597,300 Bitcoin. He added almost 5,000 Bitcoin yesterday, and that sent along with, I think they've just qualified for the S&P, qualified to actually become or enter the S&P. I don't know if that's a done thing. I think they still have to be accepted into the S&P 500. I'm not quite sure how it works, but I think that's also why the MicroStrategy price was going up yesterday. It went up about 5%, and I think MSTY went up 3.55%. So yeah, we were down in the 21 somewhere, and it went up 3 or 4%. We're now over 22. And my average cost price on MSTY is just over $24. I think it is, where are we? MSTY, my biggest position, 24.61. So once MSTY gets to that $23, $24 mark, I'm going to stop buying it. Simply because I don't want to go above, I don't want to increase my average cost price. I've been working hard to bring it down over this time, for all that tariff chaos, and when the markets tanked and Bitcoin went down to 76,000, I was buying MSTY pretty hard to try and get my average cost price down to that level. So I'm definitely not going to be going over that. So as soon as MSTY hits 24.61, I'm definitely not going to be buying anymore. I'm just going to let it ride because I've already got quite a lot of shares. And that will do me fine. So that's kind of how I'm positioning it. I'm going to be buying MSTY up until that kind of $23, $24 mark. SMCY still very bullish on that. Going to be buying more of that. That's been doing very well for me. And my average price on that is $19, and it's already trading at $21. So already in profit on the share price and already getting a distribution amount. So anything under that 19, maybe 19.50, I'll be buying into SMCY. XYZY, that's now, let's see what that's trading at. That's at 10.25. You see here, that's been recovering. I bought it at 9.05, somewhere around here. It was kind of the bottom, so managed to research and plan that pretty well, and it's now been recovering and going up pretty nicely. So already in profit on that one, which is good. So if that comes down again, maybe on ex-dividend date on Thursday, I'll be buying a bit more of that, but we'll see what price that comes out at. Now, one thing we have to be wary of, actually, or that's being talked about, is the distribution amounts. And that I talked about this in my last video, that the distribution amounts are maybe being reduced slightly in order to save the NAV, the net asset value. But it's also down to volatility. Like MSTY's volatility has been declining recently, and that's why distribution amounts are coming down. And actually, the word on the street is that MSTY is going to pay its lowest distribution amount for this week since its inception, I think. So I'm pretty sure the lowest is around $1.30, something like that. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what my guess. Probably around the $1.10, $1.20. Probably go with $1.20. If it does less than that, people ain't gonna be happy, are they? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know what your guess is for the MSTY distribution payout this month. I will go with $1.20. Let me know what you think it's going to be and what you're looking to buy this week. And yeah, have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe, and yeah, thanks for the support. See you in the next one. Cheers.